We start with 1 hour chart. Just I want to give a quick update. First of all, if we refer to our analysis in my last video, we mentioned when the price was in this down move, we mentioned we can expect the price drop to 37,300. And as we can see, the price dropped. Then we mentioned if the price tag, we mentioned we're looking for the reversal for buy. Okay, that's why we target where the how deep the price can go, and after that we get this one. Anyway, we mentioned if we get any reversal for buy, we can look for buy the sharp move for like either 1 hour or 15 minutes. As we can see, there was no trade setup to look for, even based on 1 hour and as well based on 15 minutes. The only way to look for trade having entry above the top, which is we put around 39,500. But as we mentioned, if the price tag, we're looking for the sharp move, and if the price tag within the 1 or 2 hours, we see there is no movement, we take out the trade. Almost the price was there more than 6 to 7 hours. That means no one should be in this trade. And because if we mentioned if the price cannot continue, we even based on daily forward chart, we discuss about the bigger picture. Anyway, this thing is not valid anymore. We want to see what's the next. All right. And we want to see whether this is the start of the down move, or we can look at this as a bigger flat for one move up. In this case, we move to daily chart. We want to see how we can look for trade. Again, if we refer to our analysis, I mentioned that we can expect the price to consolidate here for a longer time before we get the reversal. That's why I mentioned whoever wants to trade based on lower time frame, they should know how to manage it. And even based on forward chart, I was keep highlighting about this flat. Maybe we get one more drop, the price retest the previous low, or at least deeper correction. All right. When we see based on forward chart, we don't have any indication for the price to drop, but what we get here is really sharp. Then whether this one is going to retest the previous low or not. Because I mentioned it, as long as the price haven't broke the previous low, which is this one, 42,500, we can mention any buy within this range, we consider as a short-term buy. And we should have the proper management. Okay. Now, we don't have any trade setup based on forward chart. The only thing is the way the price is dropping really sharp. Then we move to 1 hour chart. We want to see how we can look at the chart. Anyway, right now we want to see how we can look at the chart. All right. The first thing is whether we put this one as an internal flat and we have this is the first correction and the last, that means we get this is a correction in relative to this for one move up. This is the first way we can look. And beside that, can we put this one as a flat? Because we get 1, 2, 3. And if we put this as a 1, 2, 3, we put this top in relative to the previous one. We refer to the indicators. We want to see what we have it. We have a divergence. We have a divergence. Then, in this case, we can consider this one as a flat for price to drop. All right, maybe this is the start of the down move, or even it got 3 waves. That's why when we were looking for buy within this move exactly here, I mentioned we need to see the sharp move with the breakout of the top. And I was keep highlighting if we get the trade, we see within 1 or 2 hours is not moving, we should take out the trade because we're buying at the top of the stock this correction. Even I mentioned if we get the sell, this is what we are more interested. Anyway, right now, even for sell, the only way to look for sell was a short-term sell based on 15 minutes. But technically, based on the structure, even if you refer to the indicators, there was no sell setup. Okay, now we want to see how we can look for sell. Which option should we take? Whether buy or sell? Because we mentioned how we can look at the chart. All right. First of all, again, we mentioned if we want to look for buy, we consider this one as an internal flat in relative to this. This is a correction, and that means there's a bigger picture, and they fully become a correction relative to this. That means if we get any buy, we can look for, but indicators doesn't show me anything. The second option, because I have mentioned this one, how we can look at it, and this is a flat in relative to this, and this is the start of the down move. That means we have both options, but we cannot confirm which one we should take. Then how we can look for trade? If we get a deeper correction, similar to what I draw here. This is where can give us a continuation for sell. The only times we can look for buy, if we get a sharp move flag, we take the trade. This is how we can look at it. But right now, what we see, the price, the way it's dropping is really sharp. This means we cannot look for any trade setup. We have to get the correction before we take the trade. And even if he wants to look at this one as a flat, is expanding flat. All right. That means right now, no one should look for trade since we don't have any trade setup and even we don't have any correction. And if we move to forward chart, the way it's dropping is really sharp. We have to wait for the correction before we make a decision whether we should look for buy or sell. Maybe we can look for sell based on lower time frame as a short term. It depends on the trader, similar to what we get here. Any small correction they can look for sell, but they should have the proper management. As long as they get into the profit, they start to manage it. All right. Anyway, we don't have any trade set up, and in this case we just follow the chart. We don't need to sell or buy right now. We have to wait for the correction. We see whether we can look for trade or not. Again, we just follow the chart. If I see any update or trade setup, I will share. Thank